Hello everyone. Today I'm bringing you a short little video of something of Great War origin. Now I say Great War origin as this originated in the early stages, even before the Great War, but it was a substantial piece of web equipment that was used during the Great War. Let's take a look at it right now. So what we have here is of a 1908 pattern webbing belt. As you can see, there is no visible remains of its original blanco. The only parts of original blanco that remains is here. They're just being a good old khaki section. Now, this belt was designed in 1908 along with the rest of the 1908 web equipment, and it is very much different from the late war or post-war, what would then become the 1937 pattern belt, or would actually be the 1919 pattern belt. So we're going to take a look at the features of its construction. So the one thing, it's made of 3-inch cotton webbing. It's got brass all over it, even on the back. And the way that this was actually fastened to the belt is actually by this buckle here. Now what some people do is with this buckle, so they take this and they just push it underneath. It's not the way on how you should do it, but the way I do it, I just take it, just push it on out, and as you can see, it has been brassoed. As when I got it, the brass was completely dull. Actually, you can still see the remains of it on the back here. Now, of course, the brasso is not the best. My brassoing is not the best. I really need to get a brass button stick so I can put it along there and actually clean the webbing without it staining, because I'm pretty sure in some areas you might be able to find some stains. Anyways, so it's made of 3-inch wide canvas webbing or cotton with brass. And here is that ginormous buckle that you see here. It's got a ginormous 3-inch brass webbing slider on the back. It's got this, and even with a massive C-hook here. This one is dated MECO 1919, so this is property of the Mills Equipment Company. Now this one was made post-war, during the post-war years, so 1919, so it's 106 years old. To which it is surprising on how something looks this old doesn't even look that heavily worn. Because if you probably were to give this a new thing, a blanco, and all the brass was nice and shiny, to hell, it would even look like it was made yesterday. But you can see on the back of the buckle now much more clearly where I didn't brasso it. Well, what I am going to do is I'm going to flip the belt on over. I'm going to take a look at the features on the back. So here we have the back of the 1908 pattern belt, and as you can see, you have these 2-inch wide webbing straps as seen here. Let me actually go and undo these so we're going to get a much more clearer view. See, there are the 2-inch sections of webbing. There's the brass work, not to the best, but I tried. And as you can see, unlike the belts that would come later on, like the 1919 and the 37, this one is actually riveted to the webbing, so it's actually stitched and riveted. You can even see that on the inside. There are the rivets there. Now these 2 tags are so you can hang the entrenching tool off. And those two buckles there are meant for the cross straps or the braces. So what I am going to do is, as a little bit of an interesting comparison, I'm going to go ahead and grab a 37 Passon belt and compare the two. So as seen here, we've got the 1908 Passon belt, and here we've got the belt that would be introduced later on. This is actually a 1937 Passon, but it is basically the exact same design as the later 1919 Passon, except the one difference is that it's not actually made in 3 pieces, it's only made as one whole piece. So we're going to do a comparison. So like I said, with the 1908, this is 3 inches, this is 2 1/4 inches. So there is a little bit of a difference. Not much, but that just looks massive compared to that one. Now the buckles are very much different on the two. As this one, as you can see, it's kind of like a massive eye. It looks like it. So if I were to take this off, take this piece, let me actually take it off. See, that would be on the same over here. So it looks like a massive eye. Meanwhile, the 1937, this has the much more better design of Mills hook and loop as seen here. So here's the hook and here's the loop. A much more better design in my opinion. Now another thing that is taken from the 08, as you can see with the 1908, you have this big brass keeper that's 3 inches. You have the big brass keeper. That is more or less kept on the 37 as seen here. To which what I'll do is now we'll flip over the belts and then we'll take a look at the back. So now I've just flipped over the belts, and as you can see there is a significant difference between the backs. Like I said, with the 1908, it's just much more thicker. 37, 1919, well 1919 and 37 is a lot more smaller. Another thing you might be able to notice is the buckle sizes. 1908, it is these small 2-inch buckles. Meanwhile, 1919 and 37 has these small 1-inch buckles as seen here. Now, one thing that was different, I'm not sure whether this was on the 1919 Passon belt, but if I go and undo this, so I do not know whether if 1919 was riveted in place. So like I said, with 1908, as you can see, it's stitched and it's actually riveted. Meanwhile, the 37 is actually just stitched in place instead of being stitched and then riveted. To which what we shall do is now we shall take a look at the insides of the belts. To which now, of course, as you can see, there is the differences in the buckles. And if we actually take a look at the back, this is the back of 1937. That's the stitch. So here's the stitching where the buckles are actually sewn onto the back, right there. Meanwhile, with 1908, it's stitched and riveted on the back. Another thing that's interesting is that basically with the inside of 37, if I go and place it that way, So as you can see, that is just basically a small version of that. But the only difference being is that this has 37 has C-hooks, so you can actually, it's a much more better way of adjusting. Where unlike 08, you literally just had to take this, slide it up and down the belt. I hope you found this video interesting and informative, especially taking a look at something like this that is 106 years old, sorry. Especially that was used during the Great War. Not this one, but other belts that were used during the Great War. If you like this sort of content, then please subscribe, like, comment, and of course, ring the little notification button so that you know every single time that when I post a video. Hope you enjoyed, and thanks for watching.